Hi, I'm back with some more FNF stuff. I hope this is the last FNF video I have to make about the community, because this drama stuff honestly irks me a lot to think about. In this video, I'll just be talking about the stuff that I failed to mention in my previous video, and some stuff that people have corrected me on. Also, there's that little controversy about a blue-haired Indonesian gentleman, and there are actually quite a lot of misconceptions about that situation. You can check the video's chapters for individual segments. Before we get into the video, look at this picture right here. You know what to do. Also, be sure to check out my Discord server. Link in the description. Now let's get going. In this section, I'll be addressing some of the stuff that I was wrong about, failed to mention, or didn't convey clearly enough in my previous video. In regards to my talking about how FNF has a large, younger demographic, a lot of people told me that I shouldn't have blamed the FNF dev team for attracting younger kids to the game. I might have worded it pretty badly to have made people think that. In truth, no, I don't think the FNF dev team did anything wrong. I said myself in the video that they can make any type of game they want, and that it's just unfortunate that the cartoony art style and easy to learn gameplay happen to attract a younger audience. TLDR, Friday Night Funkin, as of now, is not for kids, but the devs did nothing wrong to have caused a younger player base. That is my official stance on the matter, but if you are a younger person playing the game, I can't stop you. So it turns out that Doki Doodles, the lead developer of the Midfight Masses mod, is actually active on social media under a different username. For her privacy, I will not be disclosing any more information on this topic. I have learnt that Sky's creator, BF's wife forever, did not actually leave social media due to controversies regarding Rule 34 of her OC. A multitude of commenters alerted me to my mistake, so I did some digging and found this apology that BF's wife forever had sent on their Discord server, which indirectly gives information about their misdemeanors. From this image, we can learn that BF's wife had been encouraging people to cuss on their Discord server, sent NSFW on said server, lied about their OCs and their own age, and sent gore in their Discord server. Some people have commented that she eventually got kicked from her own Discord server, and created a new one in which one of the rules was that the R word is not a slur. In fact, there was a point when they showed themselves urinating while live streaming on Instagram, which is a bit of a yikes. This is also somewhat supported by the notice on the Funkipedia article for the Sky mod, which states that the Sky mod was removed partially due to the immaturity of Sky's creator, meaning that she was indeed doing something immature. In regards to the community game drama, a lot of people compared him to Let's Players. This isn't necessarily true. Let's Players provide entertaining commentary when playing games, but content creators like CommunityGame silently play games without providing any unique flair. I did some searching, and it seems that around the time of the controversy, CommunityGame was using botplay to play the mods. For those of you who don't know, botplay is a built-in program for mods which basically plays the mods without need for input from the player. CG using botplay is confirmed by bbpanzu's Twitter thread, and a community post by Flippy, as they both noticed and spoke out about the fact that CommunityGames' inputs seem too quick. Basically, this means that CG was simply recording his screen without putting any effort into playing the mods himself, which feels somewhat unethical and definitely separates him on a moral level from other showcases who actually play the mods, such as Flippy and Getcoin. Nowadays though, it seems more like he is actually playing the mods instead of using botplay. On the other hand, it seems that I may have tunnel visioned a little bit against CommunityGame, because many commenters on my video have pointed out that a lot of people were generally in support of CG, and only a small minority were on Kolsan's side. And I can understand this perspective. Many other YouTubers have been making showcase content similar to CommunityGames since the beginning of time, and it's definitely unfair for people like Kolsan and bbpanzu to dogpile onto one creator they dislike. Formulate your own opinions on this topic. There is also something I just realized I never mentioned. YouTube Kids. Basically, there is quite a lot of Friday Night Funkin videos on YouTube Kids, which I feel is objectively a bad thing, especially since it is well known that FNF is not for young kids. Fortunately, a lot that is wrong with this is simply the implications of having the videos on this platform, and not the content of said videos themselves. For example, Tricky is obviously a very violent character in their home series Madness Combat, but in an FNF mod and to an ignorant onlooker, he's just a screaming green clown. What is even more concerning is that they are, for some reason, putting thirst trap clickbait thumbnails on the videos. Like, why do they think this is a good idea? How is this appealing to like an 8-year-old? A lot of people were mentioning that Twitter is to blame for the toxicity of the fandom. That's sort of true, but not entirely. I personally think it's more of the classic situation where a loud minority ends up overshadowing the more positive aspects. Some people are ridiculously toxic and send harassment to anyone they dislike, but most people are pretty chill. To be completely honest though, this is more of a general issue with Twitter as a whole. A couple of people also mentioned a certain controversial mod that I didn't talk about, and when I thought about it, I realized that it was weird that I never spoke about it. So here goes. If you don't know, this /v/ mod was inspired by 4chan culture and made by anonymous users. As is the nature of 4chan, the mod heavily depicts racial slurs and heavy cursing, as well as other pretty insensitive themes. The FNF audience on 4chan was very impressed by the mod's depiction of the platform, but it's very easy to see why the mod was less well received by the general public. In the second build of the game, the creators of the mod added into the game files what is known on 4chan as a shock comic, which depicts some poorly drawn NSFW art, which people interpreted to be CP. This sparked mass outrage on Twitter, with many people calling for the mod to be taken down, which it eventually was. Along the way, there were many accusations that the mod files also contained malware, which was later dropped due to lack of evidence, as well as antivirus software proving that there was no harmful software found in the mod files. In early September, Game Banana was hacked, causing the compromising of many Game Banana accounts and the deletion of many mods from various games. One of the affected by the attack was bbpanzu, and it was theorized that the hacking was done by a mysterious hacker named Arch, and it was believed that this person Arch was the name used by the creators of the /v/ mod. It was then that people started linking the quote-unquote malware present in the game's mod files to the targets of the Game Banana hacking. But this was disproven by the fact that bbpanzu had never downloaded the /v/ mod. To sum everything up, the /v/ tan mod is a mod inspired by 4chan which offended a lot of people due to the crude nature of the represented 4chan culture, as well as some strange happenings such as NSFW art in the game files and rumors of malware and hacking abound. I feel like this heavily goes back to the idea that the immaturity of FNF's audience ends up causing a lot of this drama. Sure, the /v/ mod isn't politically correct in many ways, but this simply aimed to be an accurate representation of a certain sect of the internet. The NSFW art in the game files is questionable, but other than that, there was no reason for people to justifiably cancel the mod. Literally a day or two after my first FNF video went up, a very funny thing happened that I was very happy about. AmorAltra got into a lot of trouble. For the 2 1/4 of you who are out of the loop, AmorAltra used to be a figure in the Geometry Dash community, but transitioned into the FNF community with the very popular Verse Bob and Bosip mod, which became an expansion and then an EX update. I'd like to say that I am by no means defending or attacking Amor in this situation. I will be conveying the information with as little subjectivity as possible, and I will only make an opinionated judgment at the very end. You'll also see me playing the mod in the background of this segment. That's because I want to make a point that you're still allowed to enjoy the mod, since so many people other than Amor worked on it, and I want to show my personal appreciation for the hard work they put in to get this released. A majority of the information I will be talking about will be from these 2 Google documents, made by Echolocated, one of the developers on the Verse Flexi mod, and Blue Skies, a graphic designer and character in the Bob and Bosip mod. I'll leave the links to these documents in the description of this video, as I definitely recommend that you check them out yourself. The controversy which started this whole debacle relates to Amor being in contact with a known groomer in the community, EtherDX. A Discord conversation between the two people in question was leaked around the 24th of December 2021, which appears to show Amor was simply supporting Ether's path to self-improvement. However, you could understandably be incensed by the fact that he even spoke to Ether at all. A day after the leak came out, Amor addressed the situation in a twitlonger. He explained that he simply replied to Ether after she had initially DM'd him. Amor also believes that Ether may have been the one who leaked the DMs in order to use them against him. Ether also appears to have been in contact with Blue Skies and Ash, which is a little concerning. I'd like to point out that EtherDX is actually credited in the Bob and Bosip EX expansion as the voice of Ron, but the mod was released before Ether got into the massive grooming drama. On December 27th, Amor posted a public apology, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but there is still room for improvement. First off, I'm not going to criticize his grammar and syntax or whatever. I can understand if English may not be his first language, so I'll let it slide. What I will criticize is the fact that Amor never directly addresses or openly states what he's apologizing for. Nowhere in this almost 200-word paragraph does he mention that he's in hot water for being in contact with a groomer. Anyway, moving on. Due to this increased drama, many misdemeanors surrounding Amor resurfaced, something which always happens when a popular person gets in big trouble. I'll talk about each of them in the order presented in Echolocated's Google document. So we start with the section titled Bob and Bosip EX Abuse. This is somewhat known and is based around this now deleted tweet by the Masked Chris, the lead developer of the Starlight Mayhem mod and an animator on the Bob and Bosip mod. It's a TLDR on a bunch of bad stuff Amor did to his dev team. To give a TLDR of the TLDR, after the mod got leaked, Amor got really angry, especially when the dev team missed a December 3rd deadline. He proceeded to overwork his team, especially the coders. Amor tried to work features of the game around the leak, and wanted to make a mod showcase instead of a trailer, so the video would get more views than the leak. The development of the mod was majorly rushed, to the point of leaving out major features like a trophy room. One dev, Tay, was overworked to the point of becoming medically ill. Amor demonized Ash for the delay in the mod's release. The mod ended up being released as a complete buggy mess, and wasn't even downloadable. Amor replaced all of Chris's animations with someone else's without his permission, and didn't apologize. The Masked Chris does say at the end of the tweet that he doesn't want this to be an opportunity to cancel Amor, and that it's more of a public intervention for him to vent about what happened. He concludes by stating, "I want this to be a learning experience, not only for Amor, but for everyone. An industry example on how not to make games." This tweet was deleted because Amor requested that it be taken down, which was interpreted by Echolocated as an effort to save face, rather than one of concern of solving the matter privately. Blue Skies, however, provides a very different story. He states that everyone in the dev team was compensated fairly for their work, and provides two screenshots which directly rebut the idea that Amor was overworking the team. The next issue is the thing that I totally enjoy talking about. So it turns out that Amor made Rule 34 art of himself, Blue Sky and Minnie, who are of the ages 18, 19 and 16 respectively. Kolsan posted these images on Twitter, in order to keep the original whistleblower anonymous. This is arguably the most debated aspect of this whole situation, since the arguments go back and forth about Blue and Minnie possibly not consenting, especially since Minnie is a minor. A common rebuttal to this argument is that this stuff is completely legal, since the age of consent in Amor's home country Indonesia is 16, and a 2 to 3 year age gap isn't the worst thing. But then this goes into the incredibly divisive subject of whether or not NSFW art of underage characters is moral, so I'm not engaging in that argument. Luckily, a lot of stuff is clarified in Blue Sky's document. He confirms that he and Minnie had, indeed, consented to the art being made. However, Blue did not expect the art to be posted on Amor's NSFW Twitter alt, and expressed his regrets for having consented to the art in the first place, and involving Minnie in doing so. If Blue believes that it was bad for Minnie to be in the R34, then it was bad. Also, has anyone questioned the fact that EX Mini is him in a maid costume? That's a bit of a yikes. Another pretty bad issue surrounding Amor is regarding the Artist People server, an artist-only Discord server made around November 2018, when he was still in the Geometry Dash community. What is concerning about this server is the NSFW channel. From the screenshots provided by Echolocated, it appears that you needed a SYN pass role to gain access to this NSFW channel. But the way to get said SYN pass was to make NSFW art and show it to Amor. Basically, it was almost as though he was leveraging explicit art from possible minors in exchange for exclusive server channel access. It's honestly quite disgusting personally, to influence younger people to make adult artwork, especially when the art is about other minors. Also in relation to this Artist People server, there was a lot of stuff about Amor fantasizing about sexual relations between and making R34 art of two minors. I'm getting tired of talking about this, so I'll just throw some stuff on the screen. I'll also leave a link to the source in the description. Finally, Obi Pocket Bobo posted these screenshots showing their interactions with Amor. This feels like straight up child grooming, to be honest. Amor attempts to build an emotional connection with their target by talking about trust and sharing private Instagram accounts before trying to sexually exploit them. For additional context, Obi Pocket Bobo was 15 at the time, and Amor had turned 18 just 4 days before the first messages shown in these screenshots. The AmorAltra drama really tipped me over the edge with my opinion of the FNF fandom. There have been so many instances of creators in the community getting cancelled for doing bad things, but I feel like this is one of the most public controversies, since Amor is a somewhat well-established YouTuber in the community. Honestly, I'm very close to just quitting the Friday Night Funkin Fandom forever, and it really shows how ridiculous it can be when I post a video and immediately afterwards a major drama occurs. This Amor drama has opened my eyes to truly how bad this community could become. I'm naturally an optimistic guy, but seriously, with all these dramas and controversies stacking constantly, it gets hard to find the will to stay. At the end of the last video, I stated that we all have to screw our heads on straight if we want to improve our community, but it feels like day by day, it gets harder to believe that could happen. A couple of days after my video went up, Miss ZZ also posted a video calling out Spete. I'm not taking credit for her posting her video, I'm just stating that both our videos came out around the same time. I'm not going to cover the Miss ZZ situation, because that'll just be taking power away from her video about the drama, so I'll leave a link to her video about her experience with Spete in the description. Since then, I've seen a lot of people go to the comments section of his videos to leave some pretty mean comments. Don't do that, seriously. What are you achieving by sending hate? Anyway, I have to point out Spete's most recent FNF drama video, which I will admit is one of his worst, right up there with his Sky ones. Basically, Spete put out a very inciting tweet, talking about how FNF Twitter will never harass him into leaving like they did to Witty, Midfight Masses, Kdev, and numerous others, as well as how he doesn't value their opinion. Aside from the fact that Witty's creator, Sock.clip, wasn't really harassed by Twitter, Spete's tweet was obviously baiting for angry replies which he could put in a video, and by some miracle, he managed to catch a big fish, bbpanzu. Admittedly, bbpanzu said some very bad things, prompting Spete to make a video dedicated to him. The video, however, is 20% criticism of bbpanzu for the replies, and 80% talking about the Sky drama and victimizing himself. Add that to the fact that he puts 2 attractive women in the thumbnail, and you have the quintessential Spete video. After introducing bbpanzu and talking a little more, he talks about how he added onto his initial tweet by retweeting something Kolsan sent to him. This in no way added to Spete's original argument about how he doesn't value Twitter's opinion, and only served to further victimize himself. bbpanzu replied with this, prompting Spete to reply with an image of bbpanzu's comment on Spete's Sky video, and then goes off for about 2 minutes talking about the Sky controversy.
Now I decided to respond to bbpanzu saying, "Is this you?" and I showed a comment that bbpanzu had made on one of my videos talking about the Sky controversy. Now you can't mention Sky without people having an absolute breakdown, and people will come out of the woodwork to claim that this fictional character is a minor. I just find it really gross that somebody would create a mod of a minor being...
So during all this dogpiling that now bbpanzu's fans were doing, I decided to point out that bbpanzu was the person that ended up ruining Sky's life.
Mind you, this video is 9 minutes long, so he spends a little bit less than a quarter of the video covering something he had already spoken about in a previous video. Nice. Anyway, Spete then shows a reply from bbpanzu saying, "Yeah, but I don't remember capitalizing on the situation either, :P. Cut the music. Okay everyone, we can clearly tell that when bbpanzu mentions capitalizing, he's referring to money, right? He is talking about how Spete made a lot of money off of the Sky mod drama, seeing as those videos he made about it are 2 of his most viewed videos on his channel. Let me make it clear that bbpanzu is specifically noting the fact that Spete profited monetarily off of the Sky controversy. Alright, now let's hear Spete's rebuttal.
Now, I don't understand this as a reply because bbpanzu absolutely did capitalize on the entire Sky controversy. People to this day still make animations of Sky, still create mods of Sky, and bbpanzu is still well known for creating that mod.
And he completely misses the point. Are you serious, Spete? It is so obvious that bbpanzu is talking about how you made money off of the drama, yet Spete just talks about how bbpanzu makes clout off of garbage clickbait from other people's videos. What are you talking about? Also, it is obvious that bbpanzu does not condone any mention of Sky any longer in the community, as evidenced by the fact that he approved of Sky's Funkopedia page being taken down. I'm probably the only person genuinely angry at this, but this is a serious issue when it comes to Spete. He takes such easily interpreted information and twists it in a way that makes Herlock Sholmes's logical deductions look reasonable. Anyway, Spete then shows some admittedly bad things bbpanzu said in response, which I will cover in the next segment of this video. And the rest of his video is general victimizing and talking about the toxicity of the fandom or whatever. I think Kolsan was mentioned somewhere. As I expected, and as a side effect of my previous FNF video garnering somewhat sizable attention, obviously there were a couple of people defending Spete, which they are perfectly within their right to do, but some people took it a little too far in their criticism of me. At the risk of sounding like I'm victimizing myself, I'd like to draw attention to this reply chain I had with someone defending Spete. I will admit that we had a pretty in-depth, albeit somewhat heated discussion, but when out of arguments, they proceeded to backpedal and pretend that they were trolling the whole time. Like, come on, we were having a mature debate. Please have some common decency and stop being petty. I'd like to point out that just because you dislike Spete, you don't have to support his detractors like Kolsan and bbpanzu. It is possible to dislike both sides of the matter. Kolsan and bbpanzu have definitely done some bad stuff. Basically, you don't have to pick a side in the situation if you don't want to. The problem mainly lies in the fact that people like Spete, obviously, try to sway their audience into thinking they are the only people in the right, and that they actually do manage to convince their fans that this is true. Honestly, it just infuriates me that people in Spete's comment sections are blaming bbpanzu for destroying the fandom, when there are so many other factors involved. But to prove I'm not completely on board the Kolsan and bbpanzu bandwagon, let's use this opportunity to segue into I'll admit that I neglected to mention some of the misdemeanors of these 2 prestigious FNF individuals, Kolsan and bbpanzu, in my previous video about the community. Let's start with Kolsan. As I said in my previous video, Kolsan is known for being rude and aggressive in the way he talks to people, and can come off pretty offensively. The key example most people point to is when one person on Twitter outwardly stated that they disliked the FNF HT mod, which Kolsan worked on. Kolsan proceeded to mock the person with the fact that they were a cancer patient, which is honestly pretty deplorable. Then in his supposed apology, he jokingly promoted the HD mod, which is obviously in quite poor taste. A reason why people mainly overlook this issue is because Spete decided to talk about it half a month after the situation had transpired, which generally turned all of the negative opinion against Spete instead, due to his alleged milking of the drama. Of course, Kolsan retaliated with many tweets against Spete, the most aggressive of which being this art of Kolsan's OC urinating on Spete's grave. Kolsan was also responsible for sparking the whole community game drama, which, I'll admit, didn't need to happen in the first place. This drama was, however, amplified heavily by bbpanzu with his inciting artwork. The main issues with bbpanzu are somewhat similar to Kolsan, a lack of filter with what they say to others and generally coming off as an aggressor. For example, with Spete's bait tweet, there was no reason for bbpanzu to respond to it in such a fashion, like replying "he ain't wrong though" in response to Spete retweeting a harassment post is just asking for trouble. And it's definitely pretty bad for bbpanzu to give threats, like telling Spete to watch himself, or petty insults like telling Spete that he ain't a real person. A real issue with bbpanzu is his discrimination against white people, strangely. bbpanzu made a GitHub file which listed a bunch of slurs to use against white people. You could excuse this as some very distasteful satire, but when he tweets seriously about stuff like this, it's hard to convince yourself that he's doing this as a joke. This actually in some way recontextualizes why most of the human characters in his mods are not white, with the sole exception being Sky, who was someone else's OC. Kinda weird. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make in this segment is that both Kolsan and bbpanzu have definitely done some immoral things, and if you look at it in a certain way, their aggression and immaturity is detrimental to our community, which is massively disappointing. To make it extra clear, just because they oppose Spete, you are not forced to support them. Just stay neutral. At least, that's what I'm doing. The intent of this video was to fix some issues with my previous FNF video, and also to address some other stuff I didn't mention before. I'll reiterate what I said at the end of my previous video. This community has so much potential, but there are a lot of bad apples and immaturity which end up bringing everyone down. After the AmorAltra drama, I've become slightly more pessimistic about the outcome of this fandom, but I still hope that, through all of this constant drama, we can pull through, in a similar way to how the Deltarune fandom is much more calm now, due to the fizzling out of the toxicity of the Undertale fandom. Personally, I believe that the release of the full game might benefit the fandom, but only time will tell. Thank you to everyone who stuck it out to the end of this video. Be sure to like and subscribe and all of that stuff. Also, join my Discord server if you haven't. Oh yeah, and if anyone's planning on making a Hat in Time mod with voice acting, hit me up, I do a great conductor impression.